Hey, are you hungry? Well, you're in luck. Meat and 3 is back for season 16. I'm Taylor Early, and we've got a whole new batch of reporters I am so excited to introduce you to.
Hi, there. I'm Elizabeth Fisher.
Asha McElroy.
Sam Girardi.
Jessica Gingrich.
Hannah from Wisconsin.
I'm a swing dancing audio engineer.
I am a future registered dietitian nutritionist.
I'm from New York, and I love rice and beans.
My favorite food of all time is a shrimp burrito.
I love watermelon.
We've also got a bonus podcast for you called Behind the Internship. 3 of our reporters will take you along to show how they developed stories for this very show, Meat and 3.
Hi, I'm Danielle Flitter, a plant-based chef from Philadelphia, living in Mexico City.
I'm Sophia Hooper. I'm a bartender based in Portland, Maine.
My name is Addison Austin Liu. I am a chef and food journalist from Salt Lake City, Utah, and my favorite food is Peruvian.
Rice and beans.
Hand-drawn noodle soup.
So tune in to enjoy a square meal for your ears. And I hope you saved a little room for dessert. You're listening to Heritage Radio Network.
HRN is food radio supported by you. Learn more at heritageradionetwork.org.
Today's program is brought to you by Korin, a supplier of Japanese chef knives and restaurant supplies. For more information, visit korin.com. Hello, welcome to Japan Eats. I'm your host, Akiko Tema, food writer, the director of the New York Japanese Culinary Academy, which promotes a deep understanding of Japanese cuisine in America. We are broadcasting live from Brooklyn, New York. This show is all about Japanese food and food culture. We see sushi at every day in the supermarket, but what is beyond sushi? We hear dashi ramen izakaya, but what exactly are they? Japanese food is still a mystery for many people, and I try to demystify it in this program with my quick guests. My guest today is Robby Cook, who is a chef at the Koro. Koro opened in October 2023 and is located next to the Grand Central Station in Manhattan. And Robby's path to becoming a successful sushi chef is unique and impressive. He joined us on episode 37 in 2016 when he was the executive chef at the Morimoto and talked about his intriguing journey to become a successful sushi chef. As a brief summary of episode 37, inspired by the world of sushi and its tradition, Robby studied at the California Sushi Academy, and after graduation, he proved his talent at notable restaurants in New York, including BondST and Morimoto. There used to be a belief that great sushi could be made only by Japanese chefs trained in Japan, but now we see so many cases to disprove the idea, and Robby is a perfect example. He not only understands the tradition and traditional value of sushi, and also communicates it effectively to the global audience with his own sushi-making philosophy. So today we'll discuss how a young American decided to become a sushi chef, how he managed to hone his skills to become one of the top talents in the US, his sushi-making philosophy behind his omakase menu at Koro, Robby's advice for future sushi chefs, and much, much more. But before we start, Japan Eats is available on the Heritage Radio Network website, as well as on iTunes, Stitcher, and Spotify as a podcast. So please go to iTunes, Stitcher, or Spotify, whichever you listen to, and subscribe to Japan Eats. And please write a review. We truly appreciate your feedback. Now, let's start a conversation with Robby Cook. Hello, Robby. Welcome back to the show.
Hi, Akiko. Thank you for having me back on.
So this is exciting. In the matter of, I would say, 8 years, your career really furthered even more successfully. So congratulations.
Thank you. Yeah, it's a new venture, and glad to get it started finally, and excited to see where it goes.
Right, and you really went through, survived the COVID as well. So it's very impressive what you've done so far.
Thank you.
Right. So for listeners who have not listened to episode 37, where are you from and what did you eat when you grew up?
I am from Emmitsburg, Iowa. It's a small town, northwest Iowa. Definitely didn't grow up eating Japanese food, I'll tell you that. We were more like meat and potatoes, macaroni and cheese, pasta, spaghetti, things like that.
But how did you get into sushi, and where did you study sushi?
I got into sushi when I was going to college at University of Iowa in Iowa City. A little more diverse, like culture, and Iron Chef was getting popular. One of my friends was Korean, kind of taught me how to make kimbap, and I kind of just took from there. Had access to more Asian ingredients, and just started making sushi on my own, and kind of fell in love with it. Especially like working around food in like the produce department at like an organic grocery store. So then I found out about this sushi school in California Sushi Academy. And I went there in 2003 for about 5-6 months, and then moved to New York right after that to go to the Institute of Culinary Education, kind of to round out my training. But I ended up getting a sushi job right away when I moved to the city.
Right. And I hear in Japanese people say they are very impressed with the level of sushi restaurants in New York these days. And before you became the sushi chef at Koro, you worked at well-recognized sushi restaurants in New York, including BondST and Morimoto, by, of course, the Iowan chef Masaharu Morimoto. So
yeah,
right. So that's really like the pedigree is proven, but what lessons did you learn from all those excellent experiences at top restaurants in New York, and overall everything from techniques to your mindset?
Yeah, I mean, I was very fortunate at the sushi school. Toshi, the owner, had 3 restaurants, but the school was very informative. Like they taught us, everything about sushi and kind of, a little bit like Japanese culture and kitchen. So when I got here, I had like an understanding. Obviously, I started studying more on my own about sushi and Japanese culture. But yeah, I was fairly young, at Bond Street. So I just kind of absorbed everything and learning, that was more, I wouldn't say, they were using like different ingredients, not straightforward Japanese. So I was able to learn so much so quickly, which was very great. Plus, we were super busy at that time. I'm sure they still are busy, but able to get my hands on a lot of fish and make a lot of sushi and just kind of learn so much. And Morimoto, that was just a crazy experience, growing up, or once I got into sushi, Iron Chef popular once again, and then being able to work with him, that was pretty amazing. And, Makoto was there, and Omae-san, the knowledge and the product we had, it was super amazing.
Right. So Makoto and all those Omae-san, they are a graduate of Morimoto, kind of a school of Morimoto.
Sure.
Right. But back then Morimoto opened in New York in 2006. So back then, I think you were almost the first generation of non-Japanese sushi chefs who started to show talent. So how was the experience? Like, he's a white guy making sushi.
Yeah, it was, it's tough at first, just kind of keep my head down and work as hard as possible. I actually wasn't like, when I hired me, I didn't get onto the sushi bar like right away. So I had to do like apps and stuff, but Makoto would let me cut fish, because I had the skills already to do it. So, I was prepping and coming in early and staying late, prepping fish. And then finally, after 6 months or so, then started getting into the sushi bar more and more, which was great.
Right. So Makoto is Makoto Okuahi, who has a little empire, I think, in around Florida, I guess. So
he just opened DC and Vail too this winter.
Right. He's such a good human being as well. So no wonder he's thriving. So, all right. So we'll take a quick break here. And when we come back, we'll dive into Robby's new restaurant, Koro, and his sushi making philosophy behind it now. So please stay with us. Today's program is brought to you by Korin, a supplier of Japanese chef knives and restaurant supplies. Korean is proud of their Japanese culture and traditions, but they want you to know that their products are not just for Japanese restaurants. Their knives and tableware bring out the best qualities of food from every culture and fit into every restaurant, from French to Pan Asian to American, and that is why they're located in New York City, where people from every country in the world come to eat. Korean's Tribeca showroom is home to the most extensive collection of Japanese chef knives in the world, including Japan. Stop by to view the exquisitely designed tableware and the Welsh natural sharpening stones. They have a whole range of knife services, from repair and rust removal to reshaping and realigning. Korean is dedicated to this ideal, bringing the highest quality Japanese design to your table so you can experience the unparalleled quality of Japanese craftsmanship in your home or restaurant. For more information, visit korean.com. Welcome back. You're listening to Japan Eats on HRN Heritage Video Network. I'm your host Akiko Tema, and my guest today is Robby Cook, who is a chef at Coral, which opened in Manhattan in October 2023. So let's talk about your new place, Coral. So Coral, or Coral at the Point 7, is an only 10-seat secret space hidden behind energetic seafood restaurant, Point 7, near the Grand Central Station in Manhattan. So what is the concept of Coral?
Yeah, so Coral, kind of like a hidden little gem, 10 seats only, very nice, comfortable, modern space, not necessarily Japanese looking. Concept, we are doing omakase, but I'm more, since I went to culinary school too, I kind of focus on my otsumami, like the small pre-sushi dishes. So different sauces and garnishes and different cooking techniques, I would say. And then I guess, sourcing from Japan as well, buyers in Toyosu and just using extremely nice products. Yeah.
Can you explain for the listeners who are not familiar with like a sort of sushi course menu? Because we think of sushi at the sushi restaurant, but there are several dishes normally that showcases the season and chef's kind of philosophy. So what are the existence? What's the meaning of those pre-sushi dishes?
Yeah, now there's so many omakase restaurants, so each chef has their style. Some could be like light sashimi dishes, some a little bit cooked miso soup into the sushi. But the small dishes are kind of to get you warmed up for the sushi. Small bites that are, instead of like just straight sashimi with wasabi and soy, I do a little more like flavorful sauces that really pair well with the fish, I guess.
Right. So people call it the sushi kaiseki, or some kind of more than just ready to eat sushi.
Similar to kaiseki, a little bit, but I do not so many cooked dishes, but I do a couple cooked dishes just to break up the raw fish all the time, which is good. Yeah.
Right. Yeah, I think now that there's so many sushi bars that serve omakase menu, I think I really want a lot of diners to pay attention to how much energy the sushi chefs put into the first several courses before sushi, because it's so beautiful. And sushi, of course, like other Japanese dishes, it really shows the seasonality. So yeah, I think it's
definitely wake up the palate, and try to get the fish to really pop. And yeah.
Right. And then Japanese people like with the sake and just like a good beginning.
Of course.
Right?
Yeah.
Right. So how did you become the chef at Coral?
I have known Franklin Becker he's the chef owner, Point 7. So I know just through like, food events, food and wine and events over the year, we've known each other. And he just kind of reached out to me with this new project, and he wanted to do like some sushi focused as well.
Right, that's interesting. The Point 7 is such an energetic place. I mean, after work near Grand Central Station, like office people, and it's so hustle bustle, beautiful, energetic place. But then Coral it's back behind it, and you open a sliding door. You don't even expect there's a room in there, and that's your stage.
Yeah, we wanted to do, well, Franklin, they had an idea of what this could be, and then I wanted something smaller, like being at Morimoto, we were doing so much volume, and that's not something I wanted to keep doing anymore. So 10 seats, I really wanted to focus on me, like my taste and my sushi, and just a more like kind of like close experience with the guests, I guess.
Right. So that brings me to next question. So you offer only the omakase menu at Koro, which means leave it to the chef. So you decide what to offer to guests every day. So you have made sushi for the last almost 20 years or so. So
sure.
What's your sushi making philosophy at this point?
Yeah, maybe we'll open lunch later, and in the future do more a la carte. But yeah, right now omakase only. It's about like 15 to 17 courses. Mainly everything's sourced from Japan. I have Bayer and Toyosu, but maybe a couple local things. But I like to, let the fish speak for itself, not overcrowd it with too much like sauce and flavor. But I also like to use keep things in season and just super fresh.
Right. So, so out of your 15 to 17 courses, do you have any specific theme, like you want to incorporate creativity or more traditional?
Mine's definitely more creative. Stick with one fish and then like 2 or 3 other ingredients, just so you can really taste the fish, and maybe the sauce really brings out more flavor of the fish. But yeah, my small dishes, I like to be more creative. Sushi is fairly straightforward. Maybe a couple little garnishes. Obviously caviar and truffle everybody's using now, so I do use that a little bit as well.
Right. So that reflects your concept of sushi, right? So, you grew up in America and you know the palate of American diners, but you do know, I remember the Chef Morimoto really endorsed your skills and sense of making traditional sushi, and you can make sushi in Ginza, which is the ultimate stage for sushi chefs. So
yeah, I pride myself on sushi skills as well. Really study hard, and 20 years now I've been doing it. So being able to read the guests and read the fish too, make sure the fish is top quality in season. Yeah.
So what's the borderline that you cannot cross as being traditional?
I mean, now you can pretty much do anything. So right. At this point in the career, I can kind of do what I like, but I like the sushi a little more traditional side. Obviously, like I said, maybe different garnishes, toppings, different soy sauces. I make, all my sauces here. So try to keep it more flavorful, not just only soy and wasabi all the time.
So that's interesting because I know that there are so many creative sushi bars, but also more Japanese traditional sushi chefs come here, open a restaurant in New York. So, for example, what kind of soy sauce do you think is traditional versus what's creative? Maybe you can have some examples, right?
Yeah, I mean, soy can just be straight soy, but a lot of chefs have their own like nigiri sauce. It could be like sake, mirin, tamari, some add bonito, maybe kombu, but that's all like kind of your preference. So as we develop the flavor profile, you can lighten it, make it more heavy, with like a zuke type. Maybe I do mine with like chilies and garlic. So it's a little more on the heavier side, but you have to play with the fish, if it's more flavorful, or you want to bring out the subtleties of the fish as well.
Interesting. So the addition or increased portion of kombu or other Japanese traditional ingredients, that's one thing. I think it's still it's staying within a very strictly traditional realm. But you add garlic or chili, that's like very American, refreshing creativity.
Yeah, it could be different ponzus as well, like using different citruses. We have very nice citrus purveyor that's local, and he's amazing. Different yuzu, like different kumquats, so I can make like different flavorful ponzus or like a amazu type sauce as well.
Right. So, so you mentioned that you get your seafood from Toyosu Market, which is originally from the Tsukiji Market, but the world's oldest and biggest fish market moved to the nearby and to better facilities because it's so old. Right. So, but your connection or connections with all those fish purveyors in the Toyosu Market must be very difficult to establish. So how hard is it? And how did you create your connections in the Toyosu market?
Well, yeah, once again, very fortunate to be working with Morimoto. Now, more omakase bars, they have different buyers, which is great. But like, Chef Morimoto, we kind of set up the direct buying like way back 2006. And I was fortunate, to be able to travel to Japan almost every year. So they would like pick me up at the market and show me around. And then like after COVID, I kind of lost touch with everybody. But I linked up with one of our original buyers. He's working for a newer company now, Akira-san. So now I'm using him again, and he kind of knows what I like, the sizing, the quality, how to prep the fish, which is great. Yes.
Right. So that sounds like this a strong network that's been existing before and after the move of the market. And also, despite the COVID, they maintain strong as a foundation of the Toyosu market.
We're always kind of checking up, people would send messages, Instagram is easy now. You can send message and people are doing line. So they send pictures back and forth. I can pick fish. I can pick uni. It's great.
Right. And the distribution of seafood in the US has much improved in the last decades or so, thanks to, I think, partly the popularity of sushi and even the French restaurants or American restaurants use that distribution. Right. So, but also at the same time, I hear that more interesting local seafood has become available. So do you find interesting local seafood as well, in addition to the Toyosu's best seafood?
Yeah, I think, well, obviously, Japan has the best fish. That's it's hands down. Japanese fishermen, they know how to take care of the fish. The purveyors at Toyosu, how to package and ship, which is just like second to none. But yeah, like recently, obviously, like clams we really can't get. So I like, gooey duck and local clam. But for 0.7, we're using a newer company. I don't know if it's newer. It's new to us. What we just started using. It's called Dock to Dish from Montauk. So they catch like whatever's fresh for the week, and like which I've been using a little bit. So we use some tile fish, like golden tile fish last week was super nice. We're getting local flukes, which are really nice, and a product that I haven't seen before, which is great. They're called Royal Red Shrimp, kind of deep water. Not like, it's almost got a kind of like lobstery taste, but still very soft, like kind of like botan ebi-ish, which is really great. So I put that in my miso soup. I'm going to do nigiri tomorrow night with those. Should be, super tasty.
Interesting. Yeah. So, like you mentioned earlier, I think fish itself is fish, but you can't change that quality very easily by packaging, even slaughtering to packaging. And I heard Japanese sushi chefs are surprised that all the fish ordered carefully come in a big box and the bottom one is smashed versus Japanese shipping. One fish comes in one box and nothing's smashed.
Yeah, that's what it's all about. Yeah, even dock to dish, I kind of had to. I told them, hey, how to ice the fish a little bit and just kind of be a little more careful. But it's great quality stuff already.
Yeah, I heard that the fishermen and the distributors started to learn the Japanese techniques to process fish more carefully so that it can really sell at a much higher price as well.
Yeah, definitely. You should clean out the guts right away and the gills. It really helps preserve the fish, keep the quality much fresher and longer too.
So it's a win-win, right? It's good for the fishermen for a higher price and
totally,
for you,
totally,
right?
Yeah.
For you and also diners, of course. If it's locally prepared and available, the price should be cheaper than everything from the shipped from Toyosuma.
Japan is pricey these days, man. Super pricey, but that's sushi, I guess.
Right. Okay. So based on those really well selected seafood, could you give us some examples of your offerings at Coral?
Yeah, let's see. So like otsumami is just kind of like the small dishes to get started. I'm using tuna from like Aomori, kind of like small sashimi, onion, soy, miyoga, shiso. Let's see, last week, we use a Nantucket Bay scallop too, which is super nice. Season's almost over, which is great. Kind of sub it that in and out with like tairagai, which is the pensho clam. That could have like a kizami, wasabi ponzu, fresh wakame, and kombu pickles. Maybe some kinome with sancho pepper leaf. In season right now, I started using the sakura masu, which is the cherry blossom salmon, which is one of my favorite kind of wild salmon for the cherry blossom season. And then I cold smoked that with cherry blossom wood, a little plum and ginger, like dashi soy gelée or bonito soy. Yeah. Some truffle.
I really remember I was lucky to go to your place before the season changed, before the cherry season, and you smoked the fish with apple tree because it's reflective of the season, and now it's a cherry tree. That's very cool.
Yeah, switch that out. Yeah, wild yellowtails on the menu too. That season's pretty much done soon, and then yeah.
The other thing I was impressed at when I dined there, you used, for kimedai, this is the best. You used salt from Sado Island, and you added lime, which people don't you think of in Japan. So that's a really bright acidity, but not too much. So effective to elevate the flavor of the fish. So I think that's your creativity that you mean. I think it's subtle, very delicate, but it's very distinctive from highly traditional style of Japanese sushi.
Yeah, would love to if we could get sudachi all the time. I love sudachi with kimedai, a little bit the sea salt from Japan Sea. But I'm using the key lime from it's called Boomy Growers and Yuzu Lemons. So he grows like these really nice key lime, not like over acidic, which are really, really nice. And it kind of pairs well with the fatty kinme, and then it's kind of a refreshing start for sushi instead of just straight soy sauce.
Right. So again, but sushi is local. That was born locally in regional places in Japan. So what's available was used for sushi. So using lime instead of sudachi is the very natural development of American sushi in a way. So that's very traditional. Yeah, it's just very true to the authenticity of sushi. So, who comes to Coral?
Who comes to Coral? Well, I have like regulars from all the Morimoto days, old friends, and yeah. Plus, we're developing new clientele. Some of the businesses around here, and friends of Franklin and those guys. So But yeah, a lot of my older clientele and gradually getting a new customer base as well, which is nice. Yeah.
Right, because the location, Morimoto was in Chelsea, and Grand Central is completely different, Midtown,
It's
main
totally different.
station.
Yeah.
Right. So do you see different demographics?
Yeah, a little bit. Definitely. Downtown scene is a little more casual. Plus, it's kind of like a different dining environment. Morimoto is like bigger restaurant. You could do omakase. You could order a steak. Here, we're doing straight omakase for now. People still are, working from home. So Monday and Friday tends to be on the slower side, I guess.
Yeah, right. After COVID, I think Thursday is the last pre-COVID Fridays, and Monday, Fridays are very quiet time. I heard.
Yeah, it's different. It's different scene. So,
right. So, well, have you seen any changes in your guest palette since you started making sushi in New York in the early 2000s? It's a long time ago.
yeah. Yeah, definitely. The people are way more refined now. It's um, their tastes have definitely developed, especially if they're real like sushi people. They can tell the difference between Bafun uni or Murasaki uni, or they recognize uni by brand names now. So definitely more sophisticated. Back then we used sushi bar. You could just order, piece by piece and a little more casual. But now, yeah, so many omakase places, plus the super high end omakase. People's tastes are definitely more refined.
Right. One thing about omakase is that it's almost like it's a designing of the flow of your palate experience, right? So it's not just randomly serving different dishes. So
Sure.
right? What's your kind of rules to design your courses? Do you have any specific ideas?
Usually, we kind of go light to heavy and then kind of back to light and heavy again. But nowadays you can kind of switch and play. It's not so, I mean, I'm not Japanese and doesn't have to be fully traditional. So I kind of just switch and kind of play around. And especially if guests come back again, get repeat guests, then I'll just kind of switch and move things around. Could be start with something a little more punchy and heavy, and yeah, mix and play around. It's nice.
You serve the miso soup somewhere in the middle, right?
Yeah, it's nice to kind of break it up instead of like usually miso soup's like at the very very end.
Yeah, I really appreciated that because I think my body really needed kind of healing moment. It's really nice, it's a nice intermission. And I thought it was genius to do that without getting...
doing like a seared fish dish too, and then a mixed rice dish, which is nice break up from the raw fish, and then the miso soup was good. I've been playing around with, bay scallops, norisori, baby eel, tilefish. I put the shrimps in there too, so it's kind of fun. And then I'm also doing like a fried fish dish at the kind of towards the end to break up sushi one more time.
Right. Yeah, there's a kind of like nice accentuated rhythm, which I really thought was good and very satisfying experience. Maybe it could be the same. Yeah, 15 courses could be boring, but depending on how you design it, it's almost like a theater mindset.
Thank you. Yeah, I like to switch things up, not just straight flow all the time, and mix and play with dishes. Especially, like I said, if guests come back, then change plateware, change the design of the menu a little bit, switch some fish in and out. Yep.
But the way you do is in the fried food in between is not kind of like dramatic way, very subtle. The delicate adjustment, I think the US style of, I would say modification, I don't know if it's the right word, but the way you express fried food is also very Japanese too. So I thought that's your style of creativity, and I thought it was very successful.
Kind of like a katsu style. It's tasty fish.
Yeah, but it's in the flow of sushi, kaisar
Definitely.
omakase menu. Right?
Definitely.
So, well, what is the most exciting thing about making sushi in New York if you compare this hypothetical situation that you were a sushi chef in Japan? Just imagine.
I think maybe less restrictions here. You can really, like I said, I can play around and do things a little more fun, I guess, not so rigid as maybe it might be at a sushi bar in Japan.
Right. Well, you have less convenient access to the Toyosu market, but or maybe if you were in Japan, you don't have to compete shoulder to shoulder to other traditionally trained chef, right? I mean, if you think of opening your own place in Tokyo, you could have been a big hit also. So.
Sure. Yeah, that would be fun. That would be fun.
Yeah, but I think Japanese chefs are becoming more creative in Japan as well, right?
Oh, definitely. Yeah, you can definitely see the change happening, and especially like the otsumami courses and things like that.
Right. So perhaps this globalization of sushi is inspiring Japanese tradition, which I think, is very healthy. So
yeah, sushi is just everywhere, especially with like Instagram, and people can see like what everybody's doing and kind of play off of it and do your own spin. So, yeah.
Right. Yeah, and especially someone who grew up eating sushi, I think it's going to be interesting how sushi is going to develop in this country. It's
of course,
own way.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I heard that in the 1950s and or 60s even, people loathed the idea of eating raw fish. But why do you think sushi has become so popular in the US, like we talked about? So, in other words, what is the universal appeal of sushi?
I think, just the freshness of it and how you feel after sushi. It's not like eating a cheeseburger or a pizza or like a heavy or like a heavy French meal, like butter and butter and cream. It's just something more, probably comes off more healthy, and fish is just more refreshing, I guess.
Right. And also people lost the bias about eating uncooked fish.
Oh, totally. Yeah, totally. Now it's just so common. It's everywhere. And plus, from low end to high end, you can get many different experiences, and people just love sushi now.
Right. And even, I don't know how many times you wash your hands as you make sushi, and it's raw, but it's like extremely clean food, even more compared to cooked dishes. So.
Yeah, exactly. That's another thing, just healthy, clean. You're not feeling too heavy after. So, right. Yeah, definitely. I wash my hands like 1,000,000 times a day. So,
right.
Little dry in the winter.
Right. Oh, but
the fish oils help.
Right, definitely. Yeah, omega-3. Okay, so some of our listeners may be interested in pursuing a career as a sushi chef. So do you have any advice for them?
Yeah, just, study up before, read like Japanese cookbooks, read your fish book, have like, have basic knowledge of all the fish, like sushi items, and, definitely practice on knife skills and cleanliness, right?
Of course. Well, I heard the cleaning, it's not a joke. Before you touch rice and the fish, you have to know how to clean, because that's the foundation, and also respect to fish
Definitely,
itself.
Yeah. Clean cutting boards, clean everything. Then start working with fish and just have a general knowledge of fish and Japanese, I guess, cuisine before you get into it too far.
Right. It's the seasonality, respect to ingredients, and also kind of more spiritual aspect I think you need to
Definitely. Yeah.
Right.
It's definitely, it's not easy, like any kitchen job, but in sushi is it's like 85% prep, a lot of preparation.
Right. And if you went to the sushi school, do you think that was a foundational, it's like a necessity to go to? And instead of going to traditional sushi restaurants and start from the bottom, which one would you think?
Maybe, me being a white chef too, so it was definitely hard back then. So it gave me like a great foundation to get started in the Japanese like culinary world for sure.
Right, and I'm sure there are more references, English literature and references to look into your different types of fish and all those names compared to when you started, I guess.
Yeah, like when I started, I would go to like the Japanese bookstore and get like sushi magazines that I couldn't even read, but I would study the pictures and stuff like that, just so I knew everything.
Right. Well, fish is hard to buy looking at the pictures because it's so difficult to distinguish.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, but then, do you think it's necessary to speak Japanese?
Now, it's such a global cuisine. There's sushi chefs of all walks of life now. So.
Okay. So listeners, if you're interested in studying sushi, it sounds like it's much easier than 20 years ago when Robby started.
Definitely, plus there's different levels, it doesn't have to be like super high end. You could get like a little more casual restaurant and be able to learn a little bit faster. Like more high end, you're not going to be able to touch fish, right away. So it's going to probably take a little bit longer.
Right. Well, in the end, you have to get to the essence of that authentic mindset of sushi chefs, I think, to pursue the best. But it's interesting because sushi started as a fast food in Edo period. So
right.
Why not? Okay, so what are your plans and dreams?
My plans is to get this restaurant busy, nice and busy, and kind of showcase my cuisine. We also opened a sushi bento place right here by MetLife as well. So the goal is to expand on that too, which is nice. So like custom bento sushi boxes.
Nice. Well, it's going to keep you busy.
It's like definitely keeping busy. But yeah, I just want the best for Coral, to let people experience my cuisine and, tasty sushi. And yeah.
Right. And are you planning to go back to Japan sometime soon?
I hope so. It's a little busy with this thing right now for maybe not this year.
Right. Yeah, that's probably true.
Yeah, my son's going to summer school this summer. Yeah, he's going to be in Japan over a month. Should be interesting. Yeah.
Interesting. Wow, that's amazing. Right? Do you think his kid's going to be a sushi chef?
I don't know about that.
We'll see what happens.
He might. He's a very creative kid. We'll see how he likes cooking.
All right. So, okay. So where can we find your updates online and on social media?
Instagram, we have the Coral Omakase, Bento by 0.7. Mine is Tuna Face, FASE on Instagram. Twitter. Yeah.
Okay. Awesome. Yes. Again, congratulations. And I really think, you say creative, but you have very delicate, very authentic creativity. And I really admire because not so many people can do it. So, yeah. So congratulations and good luck.
Thank you. I very appreciate it. Thanks for having me back on the show.
All right. Hopefully you come back sometime in the future. Soon.
Yeah, you got to come and eat again too.
Oh, yeah. Anytime.
Great, right. Great.
All right. So listeners, if you have any questions or comments about the show or suggestions for show topics or guests, please contact us at japaneats@heritagevideonetwork.org or kikotema.com. Japan is a weekly program and it's always available at heritageradionetwork.org as well as on iTunes, Stitcher, and Spotify as a podcast. Engineer is Liam Warner, and thanks for listening. I will see you next week.
Japan Eats is powered by Simplecast. Thanks for listening to Heritage Radio Network, food radio supported by you. Keep in touch at heritageradionetwork.org/subscribe.
I want to tell you about a new podcast called Amuse News. Publishing multiple days a week, Amuse News is your source for food news, interviews from around the food world, and more. On the show, we'll be engaging with food storytellers, from chefs to advocates to people working in the field, and many more. Find Amuse News wherever you get your podcasts. Amuse News is a destination for everyone who's looking for a new, insightful look into the world of food.